I'm with my father. I think I told this story the last time I was here. My father is 88 years old. He's never been ill. Still hasn't retired. Not long ago, at midnight, we were getting ready to go to bed. We had drilled a new well, got some extra water, got some more acres going. He's all excited. At midnight, we're getting ready to go to bed, and my father's eating what he calls his midnight snack, a little bite to eat before he goes to bed, so he doesn't have to go to bed hungry. I'm watching him eat this midnight snack. Guess what he had? An apple, a few graham crackers, and a glass of grapefruit juice. I said, "No wonder my father is so healthy." My mom taught us all those good health practices. She taught me when I was growing up, right? I'm an only child. I've never been ill. I passed the big 50 some time ago. My two daughters, 32 and 33, have never been ill. My grandkids have never been ill. I'm telling you, the legacy lingers on. As I watched my father have this midnight snack, it suddenly occurred to me, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Here's a good question for this intelligent audience. What if that's true? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, if that's true, that would be easy to do. Then what's the problem? It's easy not to do. It's easy not to adopt it as your own personal philosophy. Or maybe a guy messes up and says, a Hershey bar a day. No, you've been watching too much television. You have to be smarter in philosophy than to fall for a Hershey bar a day, when it's really an apple a day. You've got to be smarter than that. And if you make that kind of error in judgment every day for 6 years, I'm telling you, it will accumulate into disaster. Sometimes, in the first year, you might say, well, I'm so healthy now. What difference is it going to make? You've got to be smarter than that. Just because disaster doesn't fall on us at the end of the first day doesn't mean disaster isn't coming. You have to look down the road and say, will the errors in my present judgment or philosophy cost me in 1 year, in 6 years, in 1 month, in 6 months? The cost, in money, in health, in success, is too gigantic if you make errors and just let them accumulate. That's where I found myself at age 25. I started working when I was 19. I met my teacher, who helped turn my life around, when I was 25. That's 6 years. At the end of the first 6 years of my economic life, I had pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank. Creditors were calling saying, "Hey, you told us the check was in the mail." I was embarrassed. I was behind on my promises. I lived in America, and I was a 25-year-old American male with a nice family, every reason to do well. But I was messed up. Now, what was messed up? I used to think it was the community that was messed up, or the country, or the government. If those Democrats ever get in the White House, that'll really mess things up. If the Republicans stay in power, that'll really mess things up. The economy was messed up. Interest rates were messed up. I thought all of that was messed up. Then I found out that's not what was messed up at all. I was criticizing the only thing I had to work with. What was really messed up was my own personal philosophy. My own errors in judgment, in my own personal philosophy, brought me, in 6 years, to pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and trying to explain why I wasn't doing well, living in America, 25 years old, with a family and every reason to do well. Once I understood this, here's the formula for failure. Errors in judgment, being lax about developing your own personal philosophy. It's called accumulated disaster. It doesn't matter whether it's your health or your bank account. A guy who's got an empty bank account probably also has high cholesterol. Why? Because over the last 6 years, he never paid attention to either one. It doesn't matter if it's a dollar, your money, or your cholesterol count. If you simply commit the errors every day, disaster doesn't fall immediately, but it's coming. One day you say, well, I didn't eat an apple today, and tonight I'm not ill. You have to be brighter than that. Someday, you've got to leave first grade. That's why we make those first grade desks so small, so you won't fit in them at age 25. You don't belong there anymore. So the formula for failure is a few errors in judgment, repeated every day for 1 month, which starts the weakness and the disaster process. You can imagine what happens in 6 years. Now, here's the formula for success. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. And you've started a whole new process called a whole new life. If you decide today to go for the apple instead of the Hershey bar, you have begun the process of turning your life around. If you keep up that process, not only with your health habits, but also with your money habits, your communication habits, your sales habits, your management habits, and every other habit, you'll eliminate the errors and replace them with simple disciplines, practiced every day. I'm telling you, you can start this process of life change immediately after today. You don't ever have to be the same again, only by choice. You don't have to walk out of here the same as you walked in, only by choice. You can start a whole new process. You say, well, Mr. Rohn, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. Where else would you start but with an apple? What if you should be walking around the block for your good health and you don't? What will that do in 6 years? I'm telling you, the word is disaster. You could and you should, but you don't. Here's an even stronger word. You won't. Don't might mean you're careless. Won't probably means you're stubborn. Either one is called disaster. Could, should, don't. That's why, at the end of 5 or 6 years, I found myself with pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and creditors calling. Could, should, won't, or could, should, don't is called disaster. How do you change all that? The next 6 years, I got rich. I became a millionaire by age 31. How about that? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, what happened? Strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same. Taxes were about the same. My negative relatives were the same. The economy was about the same. Prices were about the same. Everything else was about the same. Then how come I got rich? How come I totally changed my life? I was not the same. Somebody says, well, what did you go to work on to do all that? I started with my philosophy. I started amending my errors by doing some better thinking, changing my mind, coming up with ideas I didn't have before I met my teacher. Once that whole process started for me, I changed my whole life within a 6-year period, and I was never the same again. I've kept up that process all these years. One of the reasons I'm here is to continue my craft. I don't want the day to come when someone says, you should have heard Jim Rohn 10 years ago when he was really terrific. What I want people to say is, I heard him 10 years ago, but you should hear him now. The same thing can happen for you, whether you're a teenager, a mother, a father, a business person, a salesperson, or in management. It doesn't matter. This process is called personal change. Where I say to start is, start with your own philosophy. Your philosophy is going to determine whether or not you go for the disciplines or continue the errors. That's called potential disaster. And everybody has it within their power. What was so happy for me to find out at age 25 was this. Mr. Shelf said, Mr. Rohn, you don't have to change countries, but you do have to change philosophy. And if you'll change your philosophy, not your country, you can turn around your income, turn around your bank account, turn around your skills. You can become capable, powerful, sophisticated, healthy, influential, all the other equities you could possibly want out of your life. You don't have to ask for another planet. You don't have to ask for another country. Just ask for another book. Ask for another seminar. Ask for another idea. and you can start this whole process of personal life change.